On News Hour tonight, Kaduna floods kill 3, 1 missing and many displaced. Investigation into Abuja tragedy underway as victims' family speaks. Nupeng calls off strike after agreement with Dangote. And on the foreign scene, protesters burned Nepal's parliament building, forced Prime Minister to resign. Hello, good evening and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa and thank you so much for joining us. And now, 3 people have been confirmed dead while 1 person is still missing after flood waters swept them away as a result of heavy downpour in Zaria. Protest reports say the corpse of an 18-year-old lady, Fatima Sani Damarike, a student of School of Basic and Remedial Studies, Funtua, with the baby she was back in, and another student, Yusuf Surajo, known as Abba, were recovered dead at Isanabawa Primary School Bridge, Tudun, Wada, Zaria. While Surajo was recovered on Monday, the corpse of Fatima and the 3-year-old baby were recovered on Tuesday. An eyewitness, Mustafa Badamasi Bakano of Tukur Jukun, said the 3 corpses were recovered separately with the remaining one still missing. Bakano explained that the incident occurred on Monday evening following a heavy downpour recorded in the area. Daily Trust reporter in Zaria is joining us via phone call to give us an update. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good evening.
All right, so can you confirm the current number of casualties and the status of the missing person?
Well, so far we have confirmation of 2 people who died. One, Yusuf Surajo, popularly known as Abba, a student of Nova Mali Polytechnic here in Zaria, who came to rescue the victim. And the second one is the 18-year-old girl who was backing a baby, Fatima Sani Damarike. She is a student of School of Basic and Remedial Studies Funtua in Kaduna State, who was on vacation. And she was coming from Magumi to her residence, which is a trackable distance. She went to see her grannies, and on her way coming back, she was given a lift by her Islamia teacher on a motorcycle. Now, on reaching a junction by Nasarawa Baptist Church along Gaskia Road into the Njukun, the water have submerged the main route, including the drainage, to the extent that the motorbike could not ride on. So she stepped down, or she jumped down from the motorbike, and incidentally she slipped into the big drainage along with the baby she was backing. And that was what happened, and the water submerged her.
Okay, so how are the residents in Zaria reacting to this tragic event?
Honestly, people are reacting in different ways. A lot of people, especially Dr. Umar Tabari of Nova Mali Polytechnic, was of the opinion that such incidents can be avoidable because parents should have heed to the NIMET predictions of rainfall and weather forecast. And secondly, you opine that a parent will prevent their children from going out during rainfall and immediately after rainfall. Such incidents can be avoided. However, he advised the government to ensure that it completed putting the slabs on that drainage on the newly constructed Gaskia main road because the drainage was covered from the beginning of the road at Barewa Junction to Gaskia Corporation. And it was from Gaskia Corporation down to the river Kamacha that was left open. And that was where the incident occurred.
Okay, so
Yes.
we know that, you know, there are agencies that are watching out for forecast and giving updates always, but were there any previous warnings about flooding in the area before the heavy downpour?
Yeah, there are a series of forecasts from NIMET. The recent one was the one indicating that 14 states will record or witness heavy downfall and flooding. And Kaduna State is one of them. Though Zaria was not mentioned in the 14th state, but earlier prediction had always captured Zaria, and especially that area, because Nagume, Tudunjukun, Tukutukur, and Koret are all very close to two deadly rivers, River Kubani and River Kamacha. And normally, every year, those rivers submerge people. So parents should have noticed and taken heed of that prediction and focus to avoid sending the children out when the rain is falling or immediately after it.
Were there any arrangements made by the Kaduna State government before the flooding, you know, to alert the people to evacuate the area?
Honestly, the Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, had been sponsoring jingles and making awareness campaign on what to do and what not to do based on the prediction of NIMET. So the state government has put up machineries of sensitization earlier before now, and they have been doing it rigorously.
All right, thank you so much for your update, Abubakar Sadiq.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Still on the rainfall, no fewer than 545 households have been displaced after 2 days of torrential rainfall, with 171 houses also damaged across communities in Kaduna North local government area of Kaduna State. The Executive Secretary, Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, Usman Mazadu, made this known in a statement in Kaduna on Tuesday. Mazadu said the agency led a joint assessment of the affected areas to determine the scale of destruction and coordinate emergency response. He explained that the rain, which fell between September 4th and 5th, forced responders to move from evaluation to urgent evacuation in some communities as floodwaters submerged homes and properties. Mazadu said Kigo Road community was worst hit with 69 buildings and 276 households were flooded, adding that a private nursery and primary school, Merit Kids Academic School, was also affected. Now, joining us via Zoom to discuss this further is former General Manager, Kaduna State Environmental Protection Authority, Yusuf Abdullahi Rigasa. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Can you hear us? Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, what do you think are the major factors responsible for the frequent flooding experience in Kaduna State?
Well, for me, if you ask me as the former general manager of KEPA, one is lack of awareness, and the second one is negligence of those saddled with environmental responsibilities at all levels. These are the major causes of flood, because this is not a new thing. It has been happening for the last 2 decades. And every year, it's like an emergency fire response. towards mitigating flood. Flood has been with us for as far as human being has been on this land. So we challenges long time ago, from 2012 to date. Several governments have made several efforts, but it's as if short of giving us the right solutions.
Looking at the recent incident that displaced over 500 households, what does this tell us about the state of flood management in Kaduna State?
Flood management, not only in Kaduna State, generally the whole nation is very poor. The early warning systems are generally very good. If you look at the projection, NIMET and other federal government agencies, they are always excellent. But when it comes to preparedness, it's as if those with political responsibilities in terms of environmental management, they are always negligent of their duty, or maybe they are short of technical and financial resources to prepare adequately for this kind of eventualities. And that is the reason why people have to suffer.
We've seen what happened in Kigo Road. What role does waste management and drainage blockage plays in aggravating flooding in these communities?
When you talk of waste management and desilting of drains, these are primary responsibilities of local governments. And as things stand today, the local governments have no such responsibilities, or these responsibilities have been taken over by state governments. If you could remember, about 4 decades ago, these responsibilities have been discharged by environmental health officers domiciled at various local governments. Now, the sanitarians, or what we popularly call in Hausa, they are no longer functional, and that is why waste management and desilting of residential or neighborhood drains are no longer possible, because the local government don't have the financial and technical competence to discharge these environmental responsibilities. So as long as Dubugaris are no longer functional, we'll continue to experience this kind of flooding in our neighborhoods. There is no any other way.
We also see many residents building along waterways. What long-term policies do you think government should implement to prevent this event?
Well, flood mitigation has, there are short-term measures and long-term measures. But if you want to, mitigate flood long-term, what it means is that there has to be a flood mitigation, master plan for the city. And the government of El-Rufai has done a lot in terms of creating expanded roads and, urban drains. But in certain neighborhoods, these infrastructure are not sufficient. So there has to be continuity. The present government, as well as local government, must take their environmental responsibilities seriously. And there is need for the state government as well as federal government to empower, local governments, to empower neighborhood cooperatives. In those days when I was growing up, all over Kaduna, there is something in Hausa we used to call Aikin Gaya. That is the most sustainable solution. Communities must take their environmental responsibilities into their own hands. That is the only way forward. You can't be waiting when there is a flood. Usually the response is very poor. So you have to find a way of assisting yourself. Otherwise, there is no way you can survive. That is just a long-term strategy. Communities and citizens must take their environmental responsibilities into their own hands. Government cannot provide solutions to everybody at every time.
All right, thank you so much, Yusuf Abdullahi Rigasa, for joining us on the News Hour this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, moving on, in Borno, water levels in parts of Maiduguri, the state capital, are rising alarmingly, sparking fears of another potential flood among residents. Such fears have been heightened as some recall a similar scenario during last September's devastating disaster. Trust TV's Bitrus Kurusi reports.
For days now, water levels have surged dangerously at the Marinari waterway, with residents anxiously watching and hoping it does not swell into another flood. Canoes have become the main means of crossing into other parts of the community, with fares starting from 50 naira.
I charge 50 naira because I need to eat well to have the strength to paddle. And it's also risky. The canoe could capsize and passengers' lives are in my hands. I am only doing this to make ends meet.
Before I go to a farm, I saw the water is still back, but it increased. Listen,
Okay, it increased
that's what I saw.
for how long?
I left here by 8, and I came by 2.
Okay.
When it rained around the side, so it increased the water.
The strong currents have also forced a halt to construction work on the bridge along Mashimami Road. In Bulunkutu's Student Wada area, stagnant water has turned the community into a creek for weeks, even after flood waters receded in other parts of Maiduguri following recent heavy rains. Here too, residents can only reach their homes by canoe.
The water has forced some residents to leave their homes for weeks. We are fortunate to have the canoe running from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Otherwise, one will have to walk about 3 kilometers just to get home. We are pleading with the government to intervene.
Usually it wasn't like this, but this very year it has been catastrophic, and people a lot are going through a lot of challenges. You can see homes over here have been, brought down by the water. Some children usually bathe inside this water, and as you can see, there's the place they dump refuge here, which is not actually good even for the health of the children. So we are asking that the government can actually see a way to make sure that this actually is solved. This very issue is solved.
Though the rainy season may soon come to an end, the memory of last year's September disaster remains fresh. Residents are now calling on the government authorities to act swiftly to prevent another tragedy. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Now, touts operating at major bus stops in Abuja are under fresh scrutiny after eyewitnesses accused 3 of them of hijacking a moving car, leading to the death of a couple along Mabushi Road recently. The crash claimed 3 lives on the spot and left 4 children orphaned, cutting short their hopes and dreams. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail reports on the unregulated operations of touts in Nigeria's capital city.
Popularly known as Agberos, the touts are a common sight at major bus stops in Abuja. They often extort commercial drivers and private car owners who stop briefly to pick or drop passengers. Some pose as union officials, forcing themselves into vehicles, sometimes even wrestling for control of the steering wheel, causing accidents.
That is where we started dragging with them, and they enter inside the vehicle, started fighting us, and in fact tried to off the car and put the brake, handbrake up.
On Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, 3 alleged touts forced their way into a private car along the Nnamdi Azikiwe Expressway at Mabushi. The struggle for the steering ended in a crash that killed the couple, Emeka and Chikao Dili, 1 other person, and 2 of the touts. Trust TV met the only surviving suspect at the National Hospital.
No, the man, I entered motor quite right. We arrested him, so may drive me carry me to go Vanes. That's me carry me to go Vanes. From which I can go stop. Go carry the motor enter go. Like now, for cash motor that not buy ticket, it's 7,000. They will give us 7,000, so that's 7,000 now. Office can carry 3, will carry 4. The
late couple's family is demanding justice. Their 4 children have been left behind to mourn.
What I want to study in the university is medicine and surgery. And my younger brothers, they are still in the secondary school. And at this very moment, whereby my 2 parents are gone, we don't know where we are going to. We don't know how we are going to cope. We don't know where we'll come from, because my elder brother that is studying outside Nigeria, him too, he has never heard about the case. He has never heard about what happened.
Who is sponsoring him?
It's my parents that were sponsoring him. My parents.
Okay.
It's them that were paying for his school fees and everything. So we didn't have a sponsor. We don't have a sponsor. So now both of them are gone. I don't know how we're going to cope. We just need an assistance from the government.
Touts who claim to represent transport unions operate freely at spots such as Berger, Barnex Junction, and Area 1 roundabout. But lawyers say no matter who they claim to be, forcefully entering a person's car is against the law.
That someone cannot force or under the use of force enter into your car and drag the steering with you. That is a criminal offense. That is why I think it is a very serious case. The whole of Nigeria are aware about this case, and I trust that the right thing will be done to ensure that these families are compensated.
The Abuja Municipal Area Council has disowned the touts and promised to clean up the transport system.
The mandate is to clean the city from fraudsters. Fraudsters claiming to be working for Abuja Municipal Area Council, using our vest or ID card or putting out, wearing our jerseys or whatever that have an inscription of Abuja Municipal Area Council, using that as a yardstick to defraud people.
Meanwhile, the FCT Police Command says it has opened an investigation into the incident. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, has suspended its nationwide strike after reaching a historic agreement with the management of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals Limited on workers' unionization. NUPENG had on Monday declared a nationwide industrial action to protest the refusal of the Dangote Group to allow its workers to join the union. The strike had raised fears of imminent fuel scarcity across the country. The breakthrough came during a two-day high-level conciliation meeting convened by the Minister of Labour and Employment in Abuja with the intervention of the Department of State Service, DSS. In the signed Memorandum of Understanding, Dangote management accepted that unionization is a fundamental right of its employees and pledged to implement it without interference. The Adamawa State government has confirmed the death of 8 persons following the outbreak of a suspected Bruli ulcer in Malabu community, Fufure local government area. Commissioner for Health and Human Service Felix Tangwami said samples from the affected patients have been collected and sent to the National Reference Laboratory for confirmation. While awaiting results, officials disclosed that some patients are receiving treatment at Madibo Adama University Teaching Hospital, Yola. Tangwame reassured citizens that the state government, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health and Development partners, is taking proactive steps to contain the spread.
As I'm talking to you, His Excellency has released some amount just this week, and the team are going there again. They have raised a memo which I approved today, and they are going back there again. We want them to retake the swab, so they will still send it to the NRL, that is the National Reference Laboratory, for isolation, culture, and sensitivity, and the rest of it, so that proper treatment can be given, so that the patients can have succor from the pains and the wounds they sustained as a result of this infection. In a nutshell, that is what has transpired in Malawi, and I want to tell the public that the government is aware, and the government has not been sleeping about it.
Now we'll move to political matters. The National Assembly says the senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpote-Odohan, cannot resume office yet, despite completing her 6-month suspension. In a letter by the acting clerk to the National Assembly, Yahya Danzaria, dated September 4th, 2025, the Senate acknowledged Akpote Odohan's notification of her intended return on September 4th, the date she claimed marked the end of her suspension. But the upper chamber said her 6-month suspension remains in force pending the outcome of a Court of Appeal case instituted against the Senate by Akpote Odohan. It insisted that no administrative action can be taken until the Court of Appeal delivers a verdict, arguing that her suspension took effect on March 6, 2025, and the matter is still sub judice. According to the letter, the Senate would not review her suspension after the court's pronouncement. Akpote Odohan was suspended on March 6 following allegations of insubordination after she rejected a change of her designated seat during plenary. The People's Democratic Party has condemned what it described as a calculated move to bar Senator Natasha Akpote Odohan from resuming at the Senate despite serving out her 6-month suspension. In a statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunagba, the PDP warned that the attempt by the National Assembly clerk amounts to a dangerous threat to democracy, the rule of law, and the right of representation for the people of Kogi Central. The opposition party accused Senate President Godswill Akpabio of orchestrating the move to silence dissenting voices, alleging a creeping totalitarianism under the APC-led government. The PDP also called on the international community and rights group to intervene, urging Senator Akpote Odohan to prepare to resume her duty at the National Assembly. Now, the House of Representatives Committee on Land Transport has given the Minister of Transportation, Saidu Ahmed Al-Kali, 48 hours to appear before it over the recent derailment of an Abuja-Kaduna bound train. The committee, which convened an investigation hearing on Tuesday, was angered by the minister's absence. Chairperson of the committee, Blessing Ono, described his no-show as turning his back on Nigerians at a time they need him most, stressing that members caught their recess to address the national tragedy. Deputy House spokesman Philip Agbese said Al-Kali's conduct showed incompetence and contempt for Nigerians and Parliament, while Cyril Hart noted that the incident exposed lapses in the integrity of the nation's rail infrastructure. The committee resolved to suspend its hearing until the minister appears in person, warning that the continued defiance will be reported directly to the president.
We demand the presence of the Honorable Minister within 48 hours to appear before this Honorable House on Thursday by 2. Should we make it 12 or earlier? 12 p.m. Thursday.
There's also no doubt about the fact that the Honorable Minister has deliberately refused to be part of this meeting because of the gravity of his inefficiency and his incompetence and the disaster that he would have caused this nation. It is true that this parliament is on recess, and it is the gravity of what has happened that we are all here today. He has not been given any better job than any one of us that is here. The Honorable Minister has continued to treat this parliament with the highest level of disdain. He has never behaved like a man who went through this parliament.
618 Nigerians were almost murdered because of the incompetence of the minister and his team. CCEC, from what I read from one of the Chinese magazines, was that the railway constructed by CCEC almost killed Nigerians. That was the caption of the headline, implying that perhaps it is possible that your tracks were constructed with very inferior materials. Perhaps, I said.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, diesel leak in Ibadan well alarms Yemetu residents prompt security investigation. There's some more when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back if you're just joining. This is News Hour on Trust TV. In case you missed it, here's a recap of our top stories again. We told you that Kaduna flood kills 3, 1 missing and many displaced. Investigations into Abuja tragedy underway as victims' family speaks. And now we'll move on. At least 3 farmers were killed and 1 other injured in separate attacks in Akas and Kodahas in Panyam District, Mangu Local Government area of Plateau State. Bulus Dabit, the national president of Mogavul Development Association, MDA, confirmed the incident on Tuesday, stating that the victims were killed in 2 separate attacks between Monday and Tuesday morning. Dabit, who gave the names of the deceased as Gideon Jise, 41, Fidelis Usman, 49, and Job Amis, 28, said they were working on their farm when gunmen suddenly attacked and killed them. The national president also disclosed that the gunmen later attacked Juag village and wrestled 8 cattle belonging to the members. Authorities are yet to react to the incident. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps NSCDC Zamfara State Command has arrested suspect dealers in illegal premium motor spirits. The NSCDC in a statement said the arrest was in accordance with the federal and state executive orders. There are restrictions and regulations governing the purchase of petroleum products, the statement said on Tuesday, 9 September 2025. The state command paraded suspects who deal in illegal petrol, which is usually conveyed to a dark spot of Jangibe village of Talata Marafa local government of Zamfara state in large quantities, violating the national and state executive orders. The Divisional Corps Office in Talata Marafa local government arrested the suspects identified as Abbas Umar with 42 jerrycans and 3 gallons of petroleum products in blue Volkswagen. Now, residents of Umekunle in Ibadan's Yemetu area have expressed worry following the discovery of diesel in a local well, wondering what may have caused it. Security personnel have in the meantime sealed off the area to prevent any tampering while investigations are underway to determine the source of the contamination. The report.
The Omikunle compound in Yemetu, Ibadan, has become a center of attention following the shocking discovery of diesel in a well. Curious residents continue to troop to the site, though the cause of the contamination remains unclear to both the community and the authorities. The well has been sealed and security personnel are on ground as officials carried out investigations. Residents says they are still in shock since it was discovered few days ago.
I just come by pepper here. They just tell me say and then put oil for this way. I can't say no be say oil they put you. Maybe say the oil just come and inside the well. Make the big key come. I just bring the key. I just open it. As they open, they put this thing to carry it. The packet carry its cup. Just beat this way. Everybody just say this way. No this way.
I sent my child to fetch water from the well. When we opened it and drew from it, to our shock, what came out was diesel, not water. Since then, the well has been locked and nobody is allowed to fetch from it. We first noticed that the tap water looked impure and suspected contamination. Around 7 a.m., we observed the strange water quality, and by afternoon, a crowd had gathered with police already on site. The police, in an initial statement, suggested that the fuel may have leaked from an underground storage tank. Officials from the Ministry of Environment have since collected samples of the substance for analysis. Attention has also turned to a telecommunication mast located beside the affected house, which some suspect could have linked to the linkage. Ministry's officials, however, says they will not comment until investigations are complete. For now, residents remain worried, not just about the mystery of how diesel entered the well, but also about the potential health and safety risks it poses.
Now on health, the World Health Organization is warning that air pollution is the single greatest environmental health risk, linked to nearly 7 million premature deaths each year. In Nigeria's cities such as Lagos, Port Harcourt and Kano, pollution from vehicle emissions, gas flaring and open waste burning poses the biggest threats, with experts calling for urgent action to improve air quality nationwide. In this report, experts raise concern about the health hazards air pollution poses to Nigerians and what can be done to address them. Trust TV's Bello Musa has the details.
Nigeria's air pollution levels vary from city to city, but most urban areas experience moderate to severe air quality problems. This remains a growing concern, exposing millions of people to health risk.
It is not healthy, really. If the government can do something to assist, it's not healthy. Because the Ebola here often, when rain fall and other, is not healthy for people that are living, especially children.
Air pollution is a transboundary challenge that affects everyone, regardless of location. The big question is whether a transition to clear energy can help Nigeria to tackle this crisis.
Sources of, clean energy transition, it's a very important situation for us here, not just here in Nigeria, but the world at large. If we transit to clean sources of energy, we'll have better quality of air to breathe.
Experts warn that air pollution poses serious dangers to public health, especially for vulnerable groups, saying that without strict measures, the problem could worsen.
To address this air pollution from the industries, there should be law, there should be legislative, that's the government, even the community leaders they have a very big role to make sure that the air pollutions are being controlled.
Now the challenge is that oil is our base, is our economic base. And if you put stop to exploration, you are like putting stop to our economic viability. So we need to define a transition, path before we'll be able to reduce our oil production. So these are some of the challenges, because some of these sources of pollution are tied to our sources of livelihood. And government is doing its best, but there are windows and rooms for more to be done in order to curb this issue of pollution.
Government can enforce issues related to air pollution regulation through more awareness creation. On the media is very, very important, because there's no way you will enforce the law without the people adjustment on way to avoid and then to adjust to so many issues that they are doing. Human beings keep constructing more issues related to air pollution in our society today. For example, people living close to trash dump area, we pollute the environment. People using animals to roast animal using the waste tire, we pollute the environment. Our irrational activities need to be changed, and these changes can be done through massive awareness to change the people's attitude, because it has been in our system of polluting the air pollution. But then human being can be changed through some enforcement, of enlightenment, a kind of educating the general public on harmful effects on the role we contribute by destroying and polluting the environment we live today.
They advised Nigerians to embrace tree planting as one of the simplest ways to combat air pollution. Meanwhile, the federal government has pledged to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 47% by 2030. The Ministry of Environment says steps are being taken to improve air quality across the country. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Now in Dusé, the Jigawa State capital, representatives of the UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office (FCDO) and UNICEF have reaffirmed their commitment to supporting Jigawa's drive for sustainable development. Their focus includes healthcare, education, and climate-resilient infrastructure aimed at safeguarding communities and agriculture from the impact of climate change. The report.
The development director of the FCDO, Cynthia Rowe, described Jigawa as a pioneer of transformation, commending the state's proactive approach to climate challenges and its strides in strengthening healthcare as critical steps towards sustainable progress.
Partnership has been the foundation of CRIPS, which is what we are looking at here today. And it's been the result of a collaboration between the UK, between Jigawa State, the Federal Ministry of Health, and a wide range of global experts and implementing partners, including UNICEF, the World Bank, the World Health Organization, Sextant Foundation, Jigawa Consulting, Fab Inc., Crown Agent, UK Lafayette Programme.
UNICEF country representative Wapa Said explained that the visit was to officially hand over climate-resilient infrastructure built through partnership. She praised Jigawa's progress, citing its 60% immunization coverage and the reintegration of thousands of out-of-school children into classrooms.
This inauguration of these upgraded primary healthcare centers and schools in Jigawa is more than just a handover of buildings. It's a promise kept to children, families, and communities who deserve safe spaces to learn, to grow, and to receive care. The Climate Resilient Infrastructure for Basic Services project, supported by the United Kingdom government, was launched last year with a simple but powerful vision.
Governor Umar Namadi, who stressed the urgency of tackling climate change with practical measures to protect life and livelihoods, expressed gratitude to the United Kingdom government and UNICEF for their continued support, pledging to expand this initiative across the state.
I am aware that over the last 2 years, about 90 health and education facilities were renovated and remodeled as climate-resilient infrastructure under phase 1 of the CRIPS interventions. This will no doubt improve their resistance or ability to withstand the vagaries of climate change, often manifesting in venereal pollution. About a quarter of the project comprising of 11 healthcare facilities and 11 schools infrastructure are located across the 3 pilot local government areas in Jigawa State.
Through the climate-resilient infrastructure for primary health system, Jigawa has updated and upgraded more than 90 healthcare facilities in the past 2 years. Out of the state's 287 primary healthcare centers, 181 have been modernized, with another 30 currently undergoing renovation.
Your Excellency, the present entities you are seeing in Chamo, there is additional one in Kude and Dindubus in this local government area.
Because of the tremendous achievement they are bringing in both the education and health sector. These projects we are witnessing today is part of their commitment to assist in establishing partnership, fostering investment, and also reforms in the education and health sector.
But there are more to be done. How do we contribute locally? One is by planting more trees, which this year the state government has planted millions of trees all across the state.
With ongoing improvement in healthcare, education, and climate resilience infrastructure, Jigawa is not only securing a brighter future for its people, but also setting a benchmark for sustainable development across Nigeria.
Now on education, the federal government has released the approved subject offerings for Nigeria's newly reversed basic and senior secondary education curriculum. The latest announcement announced by the Ministry of Education in a statement on Tuesday is aimed at reducing subject overload, strengthening skills acquisition, and aligning the education system with global standards. Under the revised curriculum, pupils in primary 1 to 3 will now take between 9 and 10 subjects, including English studies, mathematics, one Nigerian language, basic science, physical and health education, Nigerian history, social and citizenship studies, cultural and creative art, and either Christian religious studies or Islamic studies. Arabic remains optional. For primary 4 to 6, the load increased to between 11 and 13 subjects with the inclusion of basic digital literacy, pre-vocational studies, and French as an optional subject. At the junior secondary school level, JSS 1 to 3 students will be offered 12 to 14 subjects with the addition of digital technologies, business studies, and a compulsory trade subject. The senior secondary school curriculum now mandates 5 core subjects: English language, general mathematics, one trade subject, citizenship and heritage studies, and digital technologies. As the world celebrates International Literacy Day, the Department of Continuing Education at Bayero University, Kano, also took advantage of the day to showcase its progress in the area of pushing back illiteracy. But experts caution that Nigeria's battle against illiteracy still faces serious challenges, stressing that non-formal education must be embraced if the country is to close its widening literacy gap. The report.
In Kano, these women are showcasing their products that are tangible results of enrolling in women education and vocational training centers. At the heart of many of these programs is Professor Fatima Muhammad Umar, who explains that this year's theme is a timely reminder of the vital role literacy plays in today's digital era.
Every aspect of the globe is trending on digitalization. It emphasizes the need for literacy skills in navigating the digital world and addressing its challenges as more and more varied innovations are introduced into our lives.
For Bayero University, Kano, literacy goes beyond reading and writing to empowerment in a fast-changing society.
The government has adopted what we call accelerated education program, which provides a fast-track and inclusive setting for almost over 80 out of 2 children and adults so far.
Head of the Department of Continuing Education, Associate Professor Awal Halilu, believes stakeholders' commitment to literacy still falls short.
We are here today to tell ourselves the truth, that the commitment for literacy is still low, and therefore all stakeholders that are here, we are supposed to do our best. And that is why Bayero University Kano is taking the center stage.
He stresses that non-formal learning systems remain crucial to reducing Nigeria's high illiteracy rates.
There is need for all stakeholders to imbibe and also adopt the non-formal approach to learning. And I think in the shortest possible time, the out of school in numbers will surely be reduced.
As this year's celebrations wind down, advocates hope World Literacy Day will not only highlight the scale of the challenge, but also inspire concrete action. The stories of these women show how literacy transforms lives, opening doors to skills, opportunities, and financial independence. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
And now in business, the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCA, has summoned all domestic airlines to a meeting in Abuja over flight disruptions. NCA Director of Public Relations and Consumer Protection, Michael Achimogu, announced this in a statement on Tuesday via his X handle. Achimogu said the meeting will be held on Wednesday at the NCA headquarters. He stated that among the issues to be addressed are unruly passengers' behavior and passenger handling protocols, unresolved funding, compensation issues, introduction of RFID bag tags and flight monitoring technology, enforcement of phone switch-off instruction and protection for cabin crew, as well as improved travel experience for passengers. This comes barely 24 hours after Achimogu said the regulatory authority had the mandate of the federal government to begin naming and shaming airlines that delay and cancel flights, especially at odd hours, without providing the right comfort for the stranded passengers as stipulated in Part 19 of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations. Now away from Nigeria, anti-corruption protests escalated in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, on Tuesday as government buildings were set ablaze. The unrest was sparked by a social media ban, which has now been reversed by the government. It has now grown into a wider anti-corruption movement that took to the street on Monday. In total, at least 22 people have been killed in the protest and dozens more injured, as protests raised Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli resigned from his post. Nepal's army says it is committed to taking control of the situation, but what happens next and who will replace Oli is still unclear. Now, the Israeli military said on Tuesday that it will act with greatest force in Gaza City and warned residents to flee in a statement posted on X. Residents were asked to evacuate immediately via the Al-Rashid axis after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned residents of the Gaza Strip's largest urban center to leave. Israel has been intensifying its bombardment of the city in preparation for an operation to take control of it, despite repeated entreaties from Western nations and aid agencies to stop. Palestinian militant group Hamas said Netanyahu's threat amounted to an explicit act of forced displacement of Gaza City residents. Gaza Civil Defense Agency said Israel airstrike continued overnight across Gaza City. Now it's time for us to take news updates. Joining Kabir Lawan.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria have suffered a hit to their World Cup hopes despite coming from behind to secure a 1-1 draw against South Africa's Bafana Bafana in their qualifier at the Free State Toyota Stadium this Tuesday. With the outcome, South Africa still topped Group C with 17 points. The match saw Super Eagles struggling in the first half until they conceded an own goal by the team captain, William Trust Ekong. South Africa continued the game on the front foot, controlling possession and pushing higher up the pitch. The Super Eagles defense, however, stood firm to deny the host an early breakthrough. Nigeria suffered an early setback when Ola Aina limped off injured and was replaced by Bright Osai Samuel, forcing coach Henry Chell into a technical reshuffle. Bafana Bafana came close to taking the lead in the 18th minute, but Stanley Nwabali produced a stunning save to keep the score level. Eric Chell introduced Tolu Akorodele for Cyril Dresser and Bruno Onyemechi for Trust Ekong after the restart. With this scoreline, Nigeria has 11 points, 6 behind South Africa and second on the table. That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawan.
And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to watch and catch us across all our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentaries. I'm Fatima Ahmed Musa from me and the crew. Thanks for watching and good night.